Hello and welcome to The Couch. This is your host, Julian Shelnut. Today I'm joined by two of my friends, Ewan Grant and Landon. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
You guys know me. I've been on here before.
Landon Stoll, senior here at the University of Evansville.
Yeah, and who are you a fan of? We got to get the biases out of the way.
I'm a Colts fan, so.
Yeah. I thought that's what I thought. I thought that you were a Colts fan because you're from Indy, right? You're from around the area?
I'm from just a little bit up north from here.
Okay. Well, obviously, with the Super Bowl happening last week, we're going to be talking a lot about Super Bowl recap. It's a great day for me. I know other people probably didn't enjoy it as much, especially if they're Chiefs fans, but...
The parade's today, isn't it?
Yeah, they already happened.
Oh.
It was already eventful. Howie Roseman got hit with a beer can. He started bleeding.
I saw Saquon he found the ball boy in the crowd and
yeah.
pulled him over the fence.
He pulled him into the parade. But, yeah, so, like, what were you guys' thoughts, like, going into the Super Bowl? I know you said that the Eagles were going to win, but neither of us predicted a blowout. So, Ewan, what were your thoughts going into the game and probably around halftime? What were you thinking?
I just thought it was going to be way closer. Like, I did not foresee such a blowout. Like, I thought it was going to be off. I definitely thought it was going to be a more defensive game.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, the Chiefs' defense, you guys have a great offense, but your defense is well outpaces your offense. And I thought it was just going to be, the Chiefs' defense against the Eagles' defense, really. And it turns out that it was not.
Yeah.
And by halftime, I thought it was over.
Yeah.
I mean, they got shut out in the first half.
Yeah.
Right?
I think it was 24 or 34-0.
Yeah, I think it was 24. Yeah.
And I agree. I mean, I thought the defense was going to be a bigger part of the game, especially for Kansas City, but clearly it wasn't happening. Well, Landon, what were your thoughts around halftime?
Yeah, I was a little confused with Andy Reid's play calling, to be honest with you. He didn't run the ball nearly like I thought he was going to run the ball early in the game. The rest of the season, he set the tone early, running the ball with Kareem, and early in the season with Pacheco. But
I would have thought they would have used Pacheco more now that he was back from injury.
Yeah, especially with, like, how many close games they've won. Clearly, like, having the ball in those situations is important. It leads to winning games. I mean, you look at it with the Steelers. Their offense isn't spectacular, but they win games because they, dominate the time of possession. So I agree. Like, not running the ball at all, especially against the number one ranked defense, it makes it easy to, guess what's going on.
Yeah. The Chiefs' offensive line also looked really meager. That was not what I was expecting out of the Chiefs line. I understand the Eagles have one of the best defensive lines in the NFL, but I was not expecting that.
I mean, that amount of pressure off of a four-man rush for the entire zero blitzes the whole game?
I think so, but I also think that a lot of the graphics stopped counting it after when we put our backups in.
I think it was zero blitzes up until at least the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And I mean, you guys sacked Patrick Mahomes 7 times.
It was 6 times, forced fumble, and he had 16 pressures or something like that.
That's insane.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, it was like I said last week, the Chiefs tackles versus our edge rushers is going to be one of the main stories of the game, and I just didn't think it was going to be that.
Josh White gave himself at least $5 more million a year on.
Him, Zach Bond, they're going to be making $10 million probably more than what they would have been if we lost
on the Colts.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, honestly, there's no way we keep them both, even though it would be awesome, but because especially we have to keep Mekhi Becton too.
I thought Milton Williams really helped his free agency stock as well. I mean, he had a sack?
He had 2 sacks.
He had 2 sacks, yeah. He had 2 sacks. I mean, he put on a really good day. I think he helped his free agency.
I mean, literally everyone did. Besides whoever 36 is on the backup defense.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Who got lit up that 50-yard, like that 50-yard touchdown. He's the only guy whose stock fell from that Super Bowl win. But, so moving on, what do we think that this means for the Chiefs dynasty? There's a lot of people who, see this Patrick Mahomes performance. This is probably one of the worst performances in his career, if not the worst. And a lot of people are saying the GOAT debate is kind of washed up. But what do we think it means for the Chiefs dynasty in general? I know that we were talking about on the way over here, Ewan, Chris Jones, he's hitting 30, he's making a lot of money, and you don't really have a lot of room to pay guys. They're paying Jawan Taylor. What did you just say? $20 million?
No, I think it was like 27. Let me
27.
You said 27 earlier.
Yeah, they're paying Jawan Taylor $27.3 million. Joe Thuney, who's 33, they're paying him just under $27 million. Chris Jones is making 27, and Mahomes is making. Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. Chris Jones is making 34.8.
Yeah, so like you're paying these guys, they're hitting that point where it's critical where you have to make the decision like, are we going to keep these guys around? Is it time to bring in some young talent? So what do we think this means for the Chiefs dynasty? Do we think they're going to make the Super Bowl next year? How many Super Bowl appearances? Do we think they're going to make the playoffs?
I think they'll still make the playoffs. I think my biggest takeaway from the Super Bowl is they're taking a receiver in round one. I think, I mean, their only receiver that was basically out there was Xavier Worthy. I mean, D-Hop had that horrible drop that would have gotten a first down. Travis Kelce didn't have a catch until like the second half, basically. I think they go receiver in the first round. I think that's my biggest takeaway of the Super Bowl, and I think they'll definitely continue to make playoffs. But like, I didn't realize how old their team is.
Yeah.
Like Joe Thuney's 33.
What's their
Kelsey's
average
36.
age? Do you know?
No, but I can look it up.
Yeah, look it up real quick. Because like Travis Kelce, I mean, he's pretty heavily considering retirement, and he made a statement that was like, "Thank you guys." Like
26.
it seems like he's kind of leaning towards doing that.
It looks like the Chiefs average is 26 years, 8 months, 30 days.
How does that rank with the rest of the league? Do you know? Look up like all
The
NFL.
Packers have the youngest. Let me.
Yeah.
I would think that's pretty much in the middle. The Chiefs have a bunch of really old guys and a mix of really young guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like they have George Karlaftis, Nick Bolton, Trey Smith, all young guys, but then they have, Chris Jones,
Yeah.
Joe Thuney, Jawan Taylor is in the spring chicken.
Yeah. I just think they're going to have to be a lot more active in the offseason than they
sixth.
normally are.
They're the sixth youngest team.
Wow. See, that's surprising. I think
all their superstars are just
very old.
Super old.
Yeah. But I think they're just going to have to be really active in the offseason.
Yeah.
Because especially like if Nick Bolton's leaving, or Trey Smith's leaving, I think they're going to have to be very aggressive, which is not typically what they do.
Yeah.
So, I think that it's kind of hard to say like that the dynasty is over. It looks like it's over because Mahomes itself, he's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Like he's the dynasty.
Yeah.
Like so I think you said wide receiver in the first round. I think they end up going somewhere on the line. I think this is a deep class for offensive line. They have the 31st pick. I think that there's not really going to be any receivers on the board that makes sense to go there. I think they end up going line just to help bolster that because that was such a glaring issue. But yeah, what do you think, Landon?
I also think there's a lot of good tight ends in this class.
Yeah. Yeah. Tyler Warren, Colston Loveland, Elijah Arroyo,
Harold Fannin. He's a dog.
Yeah, I think they could go tight end early.
Yeah.
Because I saw today that they gave Travis Kelce a limited amount of time to decide if he's going to retire or not. So I think that retirement decision is going to influence a lot of things there in Kansas City.
It's true.
Yeah, and the retirement's huge for the cap hit too. Like,
yeah,
for all of their offseason decisions, it's going to severely impact that because he's freeing up $20 million.
I thought they had more cap space. It turns out, if what I'm looking at is right, in 2025 they only have $5 million.
Wow.
Cap. So that would only put them at $25 million. If with a Kelce retirement.
But that's enough to get one of those guys leaving.
Oh yeah, that's 100% enough to sign like Nick Bolton or Trey Smith for an extra year. But
hey, the Bears need some help on the O-line.
Yeah.
What happens if Jawan Taylor gets traded to the Bears?
I would have a very bad day.
Oh, you don't.
No, you don't mean that.
I don't mean that.
No, I only have applause effects on here. I thought I had the sad one too.
We don't need a right tackle. Darnell Wright's solid.
Yeah.
Darnell Wright's good. He was the only good player on our offensive line last year.
He was.
I don't want Jawan Taylor.
Yeah. But moving from the Chiefs side, let's go to the Eagles side. This is a question that I'm excited to talk about. But Jalen Hurts, Super Bowl MVP, had a great game. The Chiefs did everything they could to dare him to throw the ball, and lost the gamble. And I think that's what teams have been trying to do all season. And they just haven't been able to stop Saquon. Finally, a defense has been able to do it, and Jalen Hurts has faced that test.
Yeah.
Where do we think he ranks now in quarterbacks? He's the only other Super Bowl MVP quarterback active in the league right now.
I would say top 10, but not top 5.
Top 5, really?
No,
So
I would say he's just outside the top 5.
who's at 5? Because it's obviously Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Lamar. Those are the 4, right? Do we all agree to that?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. So who's the 5th? Because this is the question. Like, kind of, who is the 5? I think it's Hurts because of the accolades. I think that the stats are underwhelming, especially when you look at it. But when you watch the games, he is a vital part of his offense. I think he's probably one of the smarter quarterbacks too because of how much he has to do like pre-snap. I mean, it's like all those Saquon 60-plus runs. You go back and look at it, and he's signaling something. He's changing something about it. So I think that gives him an edge. But who do you guys have at 5?
I'd probably have Stafford at 5.
Okay. I mean, and Stafford's one of those guys. It's really like Stafford, Daniels,
Yeah.
Herbert.
I would not put Jane Daniels number 5.
You're just jealous after the Hail Mary. You're just salty still.
Caleb Williams is going to be better.
Oh.
Oh no. Landon, do you have AR at 5 or?
I think I got AR 5. He's a pretty promising player. I mean,
he's definitely got the intangibles.
He just hasn't figured out football wise.
Yeah.
Athleticism is all he needs.
He's essentially still a high school player. I mean, he's barely played in college and barely played in the NFL.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, who do you have at 5?
I would say right now after that Super Bowl performance, I would have Jalen Hurts at 5. He really made some good passes. He dotted up A.J. Brown for that one touchdown.
Yep. Devontae Smith too.
Yes.
Yeah.
He looked like a really all-around solid quarterback, plus his rushing ability. Can't take that away from him. So
Yeah.
And then, so there were some rumors floating around. So just give me your take. Just give me your take, Landon, on Fields.
yeah. So I was talking to a buddy last night, friend of the program. I said that I think Justin Fields could be just as good of a quarterback in the system that the Eagles have, or like this offense that the Eagles had for him this year. He's got the running game.
I would say
better than Hurts.
I would say he is more athletic than Hurts.
Oh, I mean, yeah, he is a better scrambler. I think that the part that he's not as good in is he takes a lot of sacks. Like he's just notorious for
best O-line though.
Yeah. When you do have the best O-line, but even Hurts, who has the best O-line, took 38 sacks.
Yeah.
And so I think Fields kind of does struggle with that. He did do better in the starts with Pittsburgh this year, but like
4-2 is their starter.
Yeah, but that was all on Najee, and we haven't really seen him post Steelers get tested to throw the ball. I mean, now with Russ in there, they only bring him out to run the ball. Like that it's happening.
Yeah,
he's definitely a great athlete, and he would have success. I think any quarterback would have success behind that O-line and with the weapons you have. But I don't know if there would be this. I think that there would definitely be a few games chalked off.
Oh, I mean, the same has happened with Jalen Hurts at times. It's like, oh, he can't throw the ball. But then the Super Bowl, you're like, oh, this guy can throw the ball really well. But I think there's potential for Justin Fields to be a good NFL quarterback.
Oh, yeah, and I'm not a Fields hater at all. Like, I think that...
I still believe in him.
Like, I think that, he gets the right coaching, he gets the right weapons around him, he'll be good. He'll be solid.
I would start him over a handful of quarterbacks in the league.
How many quarterbacks would you start him over?
Definitely anyone in the Raiders organization. I mean, Fields is
okay, that's an easy call. What about Sam Darnold?
After this year, no. I mean, he just had an incredible year.
His end of the season, though, was a little rough.
Yeah, that's what...
It was. Let's see.
A little scary.
I'm trying to think of... I got to pull up, like every team.
Well, here, I'll give you a better one. Tua.
Yes, I would start.
You would start him over Tua?
Yeah. Tua's
a lot more upside.
He does have a lot more upside.
Fields over Aaron Rodgers.
But Tua was in the number one offense at one point. in the league.
Yeah, well, Tua's going to be out of the league in 2 years with CTE.
Yeah, he's going to be tweeting like Antonio Brown.
Yeah. I'd start him over all the Browns quarterbacks. I'd start him over Deshaun. I'd start him over Jameis.
You can't say that about Jameis, man. You can't say that about Jameis.
I'd honestly start him over Trevor Lawrence. I think Trevor Lawrence is the most overrated quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
Will Levis, I'd start him over.
He's also on the Jaguars.
Yeah.
So he's on the Jaguars.
Well, you've seen that the Steelers have interest in trading for Trevor Lawrence, right?
I did. I was just talking. I forget who. I think I was talking to Eli about it earlier that they had called about potentially trying to trade for Trevor Lawrence. I'd start him over Danny DeVito.
Danny DeVito?
Oh my God! Sorry, Tommy DeVito.
Yeah, I'd start him over Danny DeVito too.
I might start him over Geno Smith, to be honest.
Hey, that you know how like the classic question, like, do you think an average person could get a yard in the NFL game? Do you think Danny DeVito could get a yard in an NFL game?
Behind the Eagles O-line, Danny DeVito will get 1 billion yards.
I'm a little upset thinking back on it about the top 5 quarterbacks because Justin Herbert's definitely my number 5.
Ooh,
Really?
I didn't even think about Herbert.
Herbert is really solid, but it's the same knack that all the other quarterbacks have, in my opinion, besides Hurts and Mahomes, where it's like, come playoffs, nothing's happening. And I think that part of it is because, like, the Chiefs dynasty, that it's hard for something to happen when you're playing against this an incredible team over multiple years. But also, like, in that Texans game this year, he did not play good. Part of that was his receivers not being good, but it was also him not making good decisions. So I think Herbert is definitely top 10. He's probably 6 for me because of his talent.
To be fair to Herbert, look who he's thrown. Look at that offense.
I mean, no, but Ladd.
Yeah, outside of Ladd.
Yeah, besides Ladd, there's not
Ladd. Ooh, Quentin Johnston. Ooh.
Yeah, no, he does not have a good core, but still, I mean.
And J.K. Dobbins ain't the best running back in the NFL. I mean, he's good, but he's not.
No, I think that football's a team sport, and it's hard to judge a quarterback just by himself because that doesn't really happen. Like, you never really get that. Yeah. But I will say that in the instances where the game is on Herbert's hands, he has lost more than he's won.
Yeah.
That's for me why he's 6 and not 5.
I think Harbaugh is going to turn that.
I agree.
Team around.
Yeah, and Harbaugh just needs a better running back because he's one of the coaches that he's gonna run it down. He's gonna make it so he's gonna dare you to stop the run so you can throw it over top. And if that offense gets anywhere near as good it was with like LT and Phillip Rivers, Herbert's getting an MVP candidate.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I think they also go receiver probably in this draft. No, probably tight end actually.
No, Will Dissly as the number 2 target. It's not normally ideal.
Yeah.
Probably tight end.
I still get Donald Parham, that like 6'8" dude. Oh I cannot believe they got rid of him. He just keep him on the roster, man. Like
6'8".
Yeah.
He was awesome on Madden.
Dude, he is broken.
I can't imagine playing against Donald Parham on Madden Ultimate Team.
There's probably like a 95 overall version of him. Did you see the Madden? They released the first 99 for this like cycle, and it was Jalen Hurts, and he's like 99 speed.
What?
Yeah, he's like he's 99 everything, except for there was like one stat he didn't have 99 in, but like
hard to beat.
Yeah, it was just like
99 speed. That is going to be the worst to play against.
For how good he is at rushing, he is not very fast.
Yeah,
he's kind of slow, but yeah, did you guys have any other things about the Super Bowl you want to talk about? Halftime show, did you guys like it?
I thought it was great.
Yeah, I liked it.
I didn't realize how many mean people there are on Twitter until I checked
Ewan. You just want to make me like have to go into this episode and edit. But yeah, I thought it was good. I thought the game over was a nice little touch.
I thought it was pretty bold that the Eagles poured the Gatorade on Sirianni with 3 minutes left.
Yeah,
that was pretty funny. That was funny.
Yeah.
Starting now.
Whoa! I didn't start a 3-minute timer.
Well,
sorry guys.
No. Well, that's how I was feeling during the game. Like we were up 34-0, and I was like, it's not over. It's not over. I didn't. We got pizza for everybody, and we were like chilling. I didn't eat until like clock was at like 1 minute until we started kneeling the ball. Until I saw Kenny Pickett get on the field in the Super Bowl. That's when I started eating pizza because I felt okay.
That was hilarious. The fact that Kenny Pickett has more like Super Bowl snaps than like Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, just all these like elite level quarterbacks. Kenny Pickett's up there above them with more Super Bowl snaps.
That's why he's the GOAT.
Yeah. Kenny Pickett my top 5 actually. He's my 5.
Kenny Little Hands Pickett.
But if that's all we have for the Super Bowl, I want to move on to something else that's kind of been the big thing, which is the NFL head coaching stuff, like all the hires that have been happening. I want to talk about like a lot of the coordinators have turned into coaches. And I think the last time this happened, where there were a lot of coordinators, you saw all these guys come in and be head coaches, and they were not very good. I think it was it Shanahan? It was either Shanahan or LaFleur the last time it came in, where it was like they were actually the only good ones that actually ended up being good coaches.
Came from Shanahan.
Well, no, I meant like the last time the offensive coordinator coordinators were hired yeah. And so who do we think the best coordinator hired is going to be? I think that Ben Johnson's kind of the given, so I didn't pick him. Yeah. But like, who do you guys think is going to be the best NFL head coach?
It's definitely not Brian Schottenheimer or Liam Cohen. I can tell you that.
Duval.
I think the Dallas Cowboys are just scheming to get the number 1 overall pick next year.
Yeah.
By hiring Schottenheimer.
Yeah, that's not good.
I think outside of Ben Johnson, probably Kellen Moore.
Yeah, and I think that the main thing with Kellen Moore is just like that's the kind of identity the Saints need at this point.
Yeah.
Is running the ball. They don't have great receivers. Chris Olave is like always in the hospital. Like, their defense is okay. Yeah, he probably should. Like, he went to the hospital twice this year. But I think that he's probably going to have a great first season. Just with how efficient he is in running in the run game. Yeah. So I do think that he kind of lacks the clutch factor that it's important for a coach, like to know when to make the calls, like in the Super Bowl where Sirianni was like, just throw it. Yeah. Like, just go for it. And I think that like that's a big thing that a lot of the great coaches have. Like, let's just put the nail in the coffin. I think he lacks that, but I think that he will learn and be able to do that and be good. Yeah. And I think that's huge for Alvin Kamara's draft stock for sure in fantasy football.
I agree. But the only concerning thing about Kellen Moore to me is, wasn't he just fired from the Cowboys, then the Chargers, for his offensive play calling with both teams?
Yeah, I think. Well, he had like a few good years with the Cowboys. I'm not sure if he was fired. Well, I guess he was fired if he left.
Shuffled out.
He was shuffled out. Yeah, and he went to the Chargers, and they weren't very good either. But that's a great point. Like, he has had some spotty issues, but I think out of this bunch, besides Ben Johnson, like, I think he's the second best. Because I don't know about Aaron Glenn. A lot of people saying he's
scary.
Yeah. Like,
I mean, he runs a good defense, but this is like the same thing the Jets did last time with Saleh. Is they hired a DC and
Saleh ran a better defense too.
Yeah, it was like a top 3 defense in the league. And
I'm just talking about the team overall.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. Like, they fire Saleh.
I don't understand why they fired him in the first place.
Well, they fire Saleh to please Aaron Rodgers and then tell Aaron Rodgers goodbye.
Yeah,
and I don't know.
That's why they're the Jets.
Yeah. But who do you guys have? Landon, who do you have? Because you said Kellen Moore as well, but
I mean, I want to be different than everybody else.
Yeah,
it's Ben Johnson. His creativity with his play calling is next to none in the NFL. For being honest.
Oh yeah,
he's up there with.
I'm excited.
The fake fumble, that's something different, man.
God, if we run a fake fumble play at some point,
fake fumble play to beat the Packers in the playoffs.
God, bro, I think
how much stuff is destroyed in our house
to beat the Packers. Dude, I'm building stuff. We're gonna have like a table and chairs. I'll be so happy. I'm just gonna build.
You turn to a woodworker.
Yeah, I'm not destroying anything if that happens. I'm creating.
You're like Thanos on the planet after he already snapped. Yeah.
I'll be over the moon.
Yeah,
if we do something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, he's gonna have so many weapons there in Chicago, and like. If we're being honest, like, he made Detroit's offense what it was. Jared Goff really wasn't that good on the Rams. I mean, he went to the Super Bowl, but their defense was so good.
Yeah.
And I really think that Rome Odunze is going to have a better season this year.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to re-sign Keenan Allen, which will make Odunze wide receiver 2 automatically. I hope he gets Cole Kmet involved more.
Oh, yeah.
Because I felt like there was...
If you look at Laporta, right, like he's going to get the tight ends involved.
Yeah, and I think Cole Kmet has the potential to be a top 5 tight end. I've watched him play so much. I think he's super good. But we just did not utilize him at all this year, and it was so disappointing. And I can guarantee under Ben Johnson, like, he'll get more catches, Odunze, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if we draft 2 running backs in this class.
I mean, maybe.
Up that O-line.
Yeah, that's got to be the first pick. That's got to be the first
We're
pick.
definitely taking, like, Will Campbell or Tyler Booker with our 10th overall pick.
Or Kelvin Banks. Kelvin Banks.
Kelvin Banks, yeah. Or Kelvin Banks. But, like I see us taking, like, Caleb Johnson in the 2nd or 3rd round, and then, you know, maybe Bayshal Tootin in the
Yes, Bayshal Tootin. I'm a huge Virginia Tech fan, and dude, Bayshal Tootin's a dog. I was on Theo Ash on TikTok.
Yeah.
He started doing his scouting reports, and I commented, "Please do Bayshal Tootin." Everyone I see, I'm gonna comment Bayshal because he's just a dog. He's like 3rd in the NCAA for broken tackles.
Mm-hmm.
He had like 5 or 6
we need like a Monty
40+
type
rushing
of running
touchdowns.
back like Bayshal Tootin.
Yeah.
DeAndre Swift, who's like, "Hey, defensive line, I'm gonna run directly into you."
But he's getting hit in the backfield though.
Yeah, I mean,
he is.
The line is the glaring issue, but DeAndre Swift is
the only person I foresee us keeping like that is allowed to stay on that offensive line is Darnell Wright, our right tackle. Everyone else can kick rocks. I don't care. Everyone else can leave.
Yeah.
Like I saw the thing they're talking about Saquon potentially signing with the Bears earlier in this offseason. I was like,
he was like, I was pretty damn close.
That's doom for him.
Yeah.
He's getting hit in the backfield. Like, you can be the best running back of all time, but if you're getting hit as soon as you get the ball, you're not getting any yards.
There's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
I think if we don't fix the offensive line, if like by this year, I think Ryan Poles needs to be fired. I mean, it'll have been 4 or 5 years now.
But see, that's the thing. Like, he's only had 4 or 5 years, and I think that he pulled off one of the greatest fleeces.
Oh yeah, I mean,
in NFL history,
the greatest trade of all time. But I think he's been skating off of that. I think the fact that he played off.
You want to see another big move that's going to help, right?
I want us to sign Trey Smith and Drew Dalman. That's what I want.
Okay. Yeah.
And draft like either, one of those big 3 guys, Booker, Campbell, or Banks.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you got to do that.
Yeah.
But speaking of like some of the other teams, let's open this up to the playoffs in general. I think what else left is there to talk about once the Super Bowl's over? There's only so much. So what team do we think is the most likely to miss the playoffs next year that made the playoffs this year? To me, it's the Steelers, because if you're letting Russ go, if you're letting Fields go, I don't know who's going to be in that role that's going to be able to change the offense.
I think they've talked about re-signing Fields.
Now, they have tried to re-sign Fields, but if they're opening trade offers for Trevor Lawrence, I don't know how well those talks are going.
Yeah, that's true.
And even with Fields, I think that they'll be okay, but they're in such a tough division.
Yeah.
Not really the Browns if Myles Garrett leaves, but with the Ravens and the Bengals, who I think are going to have a little bit of a different vibe now that their DC's out. Even though he's really good, I think they're going to try and get establish a new little culture there. But I think that even if Fields is like the starter now, I just don't know if that's enough with how much their O-line struggles. And TJ Watt, I don't think he recorded a stat for the last 4 games of the season.
Yeah, I don't think he did.
And when you have your defensive player of the year candidate getting locked down because nobody else can do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, Cam Hayward had a good season, but outside of Cam Hayward, yeah, I mean,
he's super old as well. He's like well into his 30s, I think.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, if you have these 2 guys and nobody else is making plays, it's hard to win football games.
Yeah.
And especially in the way that they want to win. They want to win hard-nosed football, make it last possession, they have the ball. That's how they want to beat you. And it's just not going to work that way with how bad their defense played the last 4 games.
Yeah.
But what team do you guys think is most likely to miss the playoffs? I think there's a few solid options. But what about you, Ewan?
Now that I'm looking at it, so It depends on what the Vikings do this offseason. If they retain Sam Darnold, I think, because they just signed Kevin O'Connell to a massive extension, head coach of the year. I could see them making the playoffs if they keep Sam Darnold. If he, of course, if he continues to have the production he did this year, for all we know, this could have been a fluke year. So if they don't re-sign him, I don't think the Vikings, or I don't think J.J. McCarthy's gonna, as his first year as a starter, I don't think he's gonna lead them to a playoff appearance. I could also see the Texans not making the playoffs either.
Yeah.
They're gonna be out Tank Dell for at least most of the year. Probably. It's going to be Nico Collins really running the show. They're probably going to I feel like they're probably going to lose Diggs to free agency.
Yeah, they don't want Diggs back, I've heard.
No. Yeah, I've seen a lot of push by like Giants fans for Diggs. So I don't think they're retaining Diggs. That offensive line started to crumble at the end of the year. It's also old. Like Laramie Tunsil's pretty old. I don't think they're making the playoffs next year.
But no offense, Landon, they are in a very bad division.
No,
Yeah.
a bad division.
It is a bad division. It is a bad division.
Even with their struggles this year, they were still able to win and be able to make the playoffs and then win a playoff game.
Yeah.
So, but they're another one of those teams. Landon, who do you think is going to be able to miss the playoffs?
Well, I was looking at this list, like the teams like the Broncos and even the Commanders with these second-year quarterbacks. It kind of scares me because they've only had 1 year. Bo Nix wasn't the greatest in college till his last year, so maybe he's gotten better. But if there was a dark horse candidate on here that it just catches my eye when I look at it, it is the Lions. I know that's crazy, but they lost their two really talented coordinators on both sides of the ball. And I really think that Ben Johnson got so much out of that offense that I don't know if that next guy can get out of that offense.
They haven't hired an OC or a DC, have they?
I don't think so. I think, if anything, they probably promoted from within. But I don't think they've hired anybody, if you want to look that up. But that's a great point. Like, you lose both your offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators. And, when you look at a lot of Super Bowl teams, a lot of teams that make the Super Bowl don't make it back next year because of that, because their coordinators get sniped. Mm-hmm. And, if you look at it last year with the Eagles, that collapsed at the end of the season because we didn't have our OCs. And I think it's a great point, and especially with,
John Morton is their offensive coordinator, and they promoted Kelvin Shepard. Don't know who either of those guys are, to defensive coordinator.
Okay.
So.
Well, the thing about it is that I really feel like Dan Campbell he's just a motivator. He's not an X's and O's guy.
Yeah.
And when anything bad starts happening with some guy that's trying to motivate you and he's not leading you to wins, it all turns on its back. You see it in every sport. And that really does scare me for the Lions as much as I would want to see them still be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, what are you doing for me? Why are you telling me to, bite people's kneecaps off, but you aren't doing it? Yeah, it's like you're not doing anything for me, and that's a great point.
I think they're also probably going to lose some notable guys on the offensive line this offseason. I think I've heard a lot about Kevin Zeitler, who's their really good guard, possibly leaving. I think they have a lot of young guys they need to re-sign because they have a lot.
JMO is going to be a free agent.
Yep. They have a lot of cap space. They had less than I thought. They have 43 million in cap space, but I think they have
a decent amount.
Yeah.
I think they have a lot of young guys.
Well, even didn't isn't Zadarius Smith going to be a free agent? Then they get him for a rental last few.
Basically. Yeah, they essentially got him as we need to win. We need to buy a guy to get to the Super Bowl, so they traded for him. But.
So yeah, and with losing the coordinators, losing all these guys, I think you're right. It really depends on how good these new coordinators are. And also, Jared Goff looked not great in that Commanders game, making mistakes left and right. So I think that...
Oh, my God. Allen Robinson is on the Lions?
Wow. I didn't know he still played football.
Holy cow. Okay, they're losing they're potentially losing Dan Skipper and Kevin Zeitler.
Big.
Yeah, that is big.
Yeah.
Pretty big.
To free agency. So, two really good guys on that offensive line. So
Hey, they still have Tim Patrick though.
they do still have
Dude, they do have Tim Patrick, fantasy championship legend Tim Patrick. Every time I saw that they threw it to him instead of like anyone else, I was like wanted to throw my phone. Like, why is Tim Patrick getting the ball right now?
He caught a touchdown almost like 3 weeks in a row, I think.
Yeah, he was actually like cooking.
They have Zadarius Smith until next year.
Okay, so it was like it was a little.
But next year they are. Whew, it's gonna be rough.
Yeah.
They're losing. So their free agents in 2026 are Zadarius Smith, DJ Reader, Aiden Hutchinson. Well, I guess they have the 5th year on him. They probably. I don't know if they've given him the 5th year. Alex Anzalone, Khalif Raymond, JMO. JMO's next year. Kirby Joseph. They are going to be screwed next year. Malcolm Rodriguez.
Yeah, that's a lot. I agree. That is a dark horse, and I would not be surprised. Kind of similar to like how the Commanders, they made all those moves last offseason, kind of came out of nowhere. I think that this is a move that could come out of nowhere and be really detrimental.
Well, the Commanders still have, I think they have top 3 cap space. Yeah, they have. They're number 3 with 68 in effective cap space.
Yeah, they're just gonna have to use it in a really good way. I think. The holes to me on the Commanders are kind of iffy. Like, I don't really know. I think the line, obviously, but like it's mostly defense.
I think they use another corner, and I think they could use a better safety. I don't think Marshawn Lattimore was the answer. Clearly,
he's not the A.J. Brown stopper.
No.
I was gonna say one more thing about the Lions and Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell also has to coach against Kevin O'Connell and Matt LaFleur in the 4 games out of the year.
Yeah.
And Ben Johnson.
Yeah. And Ben Johnson.
Yeah, and Ben Johnson.
I mean, that's gonna be really tough.
Yeah. That's gonna be a tough division. Like, I don't even think they win the division. I don't think there's a shot.
I'm running over to FanDuel to put a bet on that. I've convinced myself.
The Commanders are losing quite a few people too.
Yeah, they had a lot of guys on like 1-year deals.
Bobby Wagner, Jeremy Chin, Cleveland Farrell, Dante Fowler. So both of their edge rushers.
Dang, Dante Fowler.
Mm-hmm.
That's big.
Zach Ertz. I'm sure they'll extend him.
Yeah, probably.
Ooh, Benjamin St. Just, Madden franchise legend. Yeah, they're losing quite a few people too. I wonder who the Bears are. Like all of our guys.
Hey, just wait for the Colts to get AR in with Josh Allen's guy. Do you guys think there's any shot that the Colts could get Justin Fields?
Yeah. Eli loves.
Eli keeps talking about it. He's like, just wait until Justin Fields is a Colt.
He's gonna challenge AR.
Yeah.
He could win the job.
Well, that's what Eli keeps saying.
Still young.
That's the exact thing that Eli keeps saying.
Plus, if AR wins the job, AR gets hurt.
Yeah.
Justin Fields is the same quarterback, like same type of
archetype.
quarterback that AR is. Instead of having statue Flacco in there, like you have to change the offense week by week depending on if AR can play or not. I feel like you could develop an offense with the same type of quarterback.
I agree.
A lot of talent that's young.
Well, I think the great thing about Fields is his ceiling is high enough, his floor is high enough that like he has a high enough floor, and you could also get him for like 20 to 25 mil a year, I feel like.
Well, even less than that.
Yeah,
I'm not paying him that much. Yeah, you're looking at 12, like 10, 12. That's
really.
But the thing,
it's projections.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
But the thing is like, to me, it's like you use this first round pick on this guy. I think you have to go through the motions of just letting him play and actually getting him there. And I think that if you bring Fields in, he's gonna win the starting job. And once again, Anthony Richardson will be sitting the bench, not getting in-game experience. And so, like, I don't think it's a bad move. I think it's not a bad move to get Justin Fields. It makes the pick worse of Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
Like, if you aren't planning to suffer through him only playing, like, one season of college football and, like, I don't think he played the whole season.
No. Did he?
I think he played the full season.
He played the full season? So, like, he plays one season of college football, played, like, 1 or 2 years in high school. Like, he's just a very young prospect.
Yeah.
And I think that
Bears did the same thing to Fields, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, you threw him in there and suffered, and you guys just I mean, Caleb Williams came along, and it was you can't pass him up.
Fields was a lot more polished than Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fields threw for a lot of yards at Ohio State.
Yeah.
Like, Anthony Richardson was drafted purely based on, like, his talent,
He
not
basically had
his...
like the Zach Wilson kind of like people saw his athleticism just like they saw Zach Wilson make that crazy throw one day, senior day, and they were like, "Oh, this guy's a top 5 pick."
Yeah.
It stinks to say, but Anthony Richardson's the type of quarterback that's like, if this was like 2005, we probably would take him in like the 4th round and just try to develop him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that, I think that trying to develop him and give him time on the bench is okay, but I think that the way that you've already put him in there, like he's fighting for the job, he loses it, you put him back in, I think now you just got to give it to him. I don't think he's in the position to sit there and wait. Yeah. For me, I wish the Colts would have just done that immediately. Just taken him, let Gardner play, whatever happens.
Yeah.
You know, and I also think that you guys need to get some receivers for him.
Oh, 100%.
Like, he would have had way better games if his receivers didn't drop the ball half the time when they could throw to him. Like, Michael Pittman may have had one of the worst seasons I've ever seen, like, based on expectations.
Yeah. He just doesn't get a lot of separation. Plus,
No.
Adonai Mitchell was one of the biggest letdowns. I had a lot of expectations because the big thing with wide receivers are like, oh, they can't get open. This guy gets wide open and can't catch the ball. It's completely different. It's really frustrating.
Yeah.
You don't see that often, but
it was interesting because I went to Colts training camp right before the season, and you could tell, like, there was something odd. Yeah. Like, the line was not performing very well. Anthony Richardson, he didn't throw too bad, but, like, Michael Pittman dropped, like, 2 or 3 balls. Adonai Mitchell had 2 or 3 drops. Who's your tight end?
Kyler Granson or
Kyler Granson had a drop. It was a rough day, and like you could kind of see it was very similar when I went at the Panthers training camp, where it was like Panthers training camp was way worse though. That was bad. Bryce threw like 2 picks and like
was that when he was a rookie?
No, I was the same year.
Oh,
same year. I went to Colts training camp, came back, and then I drove down to North Carolina. But
Week 18, Bryce Young's also top 5.
Yeah. Hey,
God, Bryce Young second half of this year was
he's top 3. I don't know.
He might be better than Mahomes.
But yeah, I agree. I think that Fields wouldn't be a bad acquisition, but I think it changes the way I view the pick of Anthony Richardson.
No, I agree with you with that.
Yeah, but I think we're kind of at time. But do you guys have anything else you want to talk about before we go, real quick?
No. I mean,
Bears underperforming
every year.
What was your prediction? 10 and it was like 12-5 before the season.
I had us at double-digit wins, and then we had the worst offensive line.
You had them beating the Packers week 1. I know that.
I did, but that was purely out of hope. It's just like
for this past season.
Yeah.
12-5?
No,
it was like 12-5.
I think it was like 10-7. It was like 10-7.
Well, Eli had like the same output. He had like 10-6 for the Colts, or 10-7 for the Colts, or something.
We also didn't play the Packers until I just realized we didn't play the Packers until like.
Was it like week 3 or something?
We didn't have an in-division game until like week 9.
You guys played the Titans week 1.
Yeah.
The infamous Will Levis photo.
Offense was not great. Defense whooped.
Yeah.
I mean, but it didn't matter.
Yeah, it didn't matter.
What do we go, 5-12? Yeah.
Too bad you guys don't have Roquan anymore.
I think we could have a whole podcast dedicated to the terrible Bears moves.
I could make a whole podcast talking strictly about the Chase Claypool trade, where we effectively traded a first-round pick for Chase Claypool. God. And then Roquan, like a day later for a second round and a 5th.
Yeah. Sounds like you need to be a GM, right?
Yeah. Well, why do you think I play so much Madden franchise? I'm practicing.
You're practicing. All right. Well, I think that's all we got for today. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for being on. It was a good time.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Hopefully we can get. I want to have a lot more people on it. It's fun to talk it with other people, get other people's opinions, not just hear myself speak in a quiet room for an hour.
Being a bubble.
Yeah. The bubble is not as fun. But thank you guys, and thank you for listening. Okay.
Yeah.
See you next week.
Bye.
This podcast is produced by Student Media. Student Media is a student organization at the University of Evansville. Student Media produces the Crescent magazine, published online and in print 3 times a semester. Student Media produces several podcasts and utilizes design, photography, video, and sound towards experimental and academic learning in journalistic endeavors and engaging storytelling. Student Media elevates the voice of the student body and connects the campus and community to important information and points of view.